My name is Linda, and I'm 27 years old. This is the story of how my life became entangled in a web of deceit and betrayal. But it's also the story of how I rose above manipulation and malice and found justice against both my husband and mother-in-law. I met Ralph, my husband, a charming and charismatic man who swept me off my feet with affectionate words and promises of a bright future. We fell madly in love and soon tied the knot, believing our love would conquer all. However, our love story soon took a treacherous turn. The source of my torment was none other than Ralph's mother, Martha. From the beginning, Martha harbored a deep resentment towards me, viewing me as an intruder in her son's life. She was one of those mothers who seemed to thrive on controlling her child. And Ralph had been providing Martha with his entire salary for the past 7 years. This left our own financial stability hanging by a thread, a betrayal that tore at the very fabric of our marriage. Despite my pleas, Ralph brushed me off, insisting that his mother took precedence over the family he was supposed to be building with me. I didn't do much to stop it. I was 20 years old when we got married, a naive, bumbling girl who thought my husband would one day realize his wrongdoings and change because his love for me ran that deep. I know now that I was a fool to feel this way. As the years went by, tensions between Martha and me escalated. She belittled me at every opportunity, making it clear that I was not welcome in her house or her life, and that my presence was a privilege. When I tried to raise my concerns with Ralph, he shunned me, not caring that I was being verbally and emotionally abused by his mother. His complicity in my torment made it impossible for me to forgive him. One fateful day, when Ralph lost his job, Martha's true animosity became painfully clear. She wasted no time in kicking me out, claiming that the house Ralph and I were staying in was hers. This crushed my spirit, leaving me vulnerable and homeless. Really, Martha? You hate me that much? How can you kick me out of a house that isn't even yours? It's not that I hate you, darling. I simply don't care for you. Besides, after Ralph lost his job, there's no way he's going to be able to support you anymore. This is my house. What do you mean? It was only he and I living in the house, and now you want to disrupt the family dynamic and the household funds by moving in. You don't need to know the details of anything, considering you're no longer a resident here. How dare you question me, you stupid girl? I left the house and called Ralph, thinking he would help me. That was a big mistake. Hello, what's going on? You seem upset. Upset doesn't even begin to describe it, Ralph. Your mother kicked me out of the house the same day you lost your job. What? Why? It's been going on for years, Ralph. You've been giving her your entire salary without considering our financial stability. I've been suffering in silence, hoping you would change, while she's been manipulating you. Don't say that. She's done no such thing. Someone who's been manipulated doesn't know they've been deceived until they wake up from their deception. And you, my dear husband, are still under her spell. I swear to God, Linda, if you continue to speak about my mother that way, you'll what? Give her all my money too. You need to stop being so delusional and see that the way your mother is treating me isn't right. How can you sit there and not do anything? I'm your wife, damn it. Enough. It's no wonder why she kicked you out of the house. Excuse me. You heard me. I won't stand for you disrespecting her and me this way. Now, pack up all your crap and get out of my mother's house right this instant. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Did I transport myself to another dimension where treating your wife like a cockroach was a sign of love and affection? Certainly not, but why was he talking to me like this? Without saying a word, I returned to the house to find a smirking Martha, laughing and showing off that her new house was all hers and that I was finally leaving her and her son alone. I thought it best to keep my mouth shut. It took all the strength in my body to do so, and just packed my things silently so I could leave without going to jail for what I might have done. As much as I was angry, I was also hurt and confused. What sort of mother-in-law would treat her daughter-in-law this way? I sought refuge with a friend, nursing my wounds and gathering the shattered pieces of my life. The despair fueled a fire within me, a determination to seek retribution for the injustice I had suffered. I couldn't let Martha's actions go unanswered. I also couldn't let my foolish husband Ralph off the hook. They both had to pay. My friend kept telling me I couldn't let these actions go unpunished, further fueling the fire. So I decided to return to the house to give that woman a piece of my mind. For the second time that day, I stood in front of Martha's house, my heart pounding with a mixture of nervousness and determination. It was time to confront her and make her face the consequences of her actions. As I stepped inside, a wave of memories flooded over me. This house had been a place of pain and manipulation, but very soon it would become a symbol of my victory. "What are you doing here, Linda? You have no right to be in my house." "Oh, I think you'll find that I do, Martha. After all, it was your actions that led me here." Martha's face contorted with surprise and disbelief. She had expected me to cower, to run away defeated, but little did she know I had found my strength. "You think you can just waltz in here and take what you want? You're nothing but a leech, Polly." "No, Martha, I'm no longer the timid woman you could manipulate. I've grown stronger, and I've had enough of your games. You used my husband's salary to build this house, and now it's time for me to take control. You're delusional if you think you can outsmart me. I've been manipulating people my entire life." "Manipulation may be your specialty, Martha, but today the tables have turned. You underestimated me just as you underestimated the power of a woman who has been pushed to her limit." As we engaged in a battle of words, the tension in the room grew palpable. This wasn't just a confrontation between two individuals, it was a clash of wills, a fight for justice. "You may have won this battle, Polly, but the war isn't over. I'll make sure you regret this." "We'll see about that, Martha. I've spent years living under your shadow, enduring your abuse, but today I'm reclaiming my life, my happiness, and my freedom. Your reign is over. Have the day you think you deserve." With those final words, I turned away from Martha, leaving her stunned and defeated. As I walked out of the house, a sense of triumph filled my heart. It was a small victory, but it was a step towards a future free from manipulation and pain. The road ahead would still be challenging, but I was no longer afraid. I had confronted my tormentor, and in doing so, I found my strength. I believe in the power of karma, and boy, oh boy, did I find something that I could use to my advantage. As I was leaving the property, I saw a couple of contractors hammering in a big red sign that said auction on my mother-in-law's front porch. Was she auctioning off the place so soon? But why? This obviously piqued my curiosity, and considering what I knew about her shady business deals, her auctioning off the house might have been part of her ploy all along. What if she was trying to cover her tracks by selling the house? I returned to my friend and revealed the new information. She too thought that everything was just a bit too shady. But I was lucky to find her doing this because that was when I thought of the perfect revenge. I did some more research to confirm if Martha was indeed auctioning off the house, and it was true. She was holding an auction for it, and it was happening the very next day. This made my suspicions grow more and more. I knew that I had to sabotage it somehow and get to the bottom of whatever shady practice was going on. The next day, I stumbled upon an auction notice for Martha's house. It was a stroke of fate, an opportunity to turn the tables and regain control over my destiny. With a newfound sense of purpose, I meticulously planned my revenge. I studied the housing market, calculated the maximum bid I could afford, and prepared myself to confront Martha in the most unexpected way. Little did Martha know that I had risen from the ashes, transformed by the strength that adversity had bestowed upon me. I walked into the auction room, my heart pounding with a mixture of nervousness and determination. But of course, I was stopped by the people who had made my life a living hell for the past 7 years. "Oh, for the love of, what are you doing here? You're obsessed with this, aren't you? I told you not to be here. I'm still very upset with you." "Yeah, well, the feeling is mutual, believe me. I'm here for the auction." They both gasped in unison. "Yep, I have every right to be here just like everyone else. So if you don't like it, then you can take it up with the police after I file a report for harassment." "Huh? You think that you can buy this house? You must be out of your mind, sweetie. Should I kick her out? Meh. Don't bother. She's just embarrassing herself by being here anyway. It's not like she can afford this place." "We'll see about that." We both stormed off to our designated locations, and Martha was glaring at me. I kept my composure though, trying my best to fit in with the crowd. As the bidding began, I locked eyes with Martha, a glimmer of defiance and triumph shining in my gaze. The atmosphere in the auction hall was charged with anticipation. Bidders eagerly gathered, their eyes fixed on the stage where the prize house would soon be up for grabs. I stood there, my heart pounding with a mix of nerves and determination. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have an exquisite property on the market today. Up for auction is a beautiful mid-century modern house with a rich history. Let the bidding begin." As the bidding commenced, I played my cards strategically. Knowing Martha's shady financial past, I had discreetly leaked information about her alleged embezzlement, casting a shadow over the property's reputation. Potential buyers hesitated, unsure of the risk involved. It was my chance to strike. We have a bid of $200,000. Do we have any higher bids? Crickets. No one raised their paddle. What is happening? Why aren't people bidding higher? This is my house. Looks like your secrets have a way of catching up to you, Martha. No one wants to buy this house at a higher price because of the shadiness behind it all. Martha's face turned red with fury as the realization dawned on her. Just as she had tried to control our lives for years, I could see the panic in her eyes. A glimpse of vulnerability that had been hidden beneath her incessant manipulations. Linda, we need to talk. This isn't right. Save your apologies, Ralph. It's too late for that. You had 7 years to stand up for me, to prioritize our happiness. Now it's time for me to take charge of my own life. You conniving little. Save your insults, Martha. Your reign of control ends here. This house will be a symbol of my victory, a reminder that I will no longer be silenced or cast aside. I put up my paddle, and the auctioneer said, "Do I hear $300,000, folks? No one? Okay, $200,000 going once, twice, and it's sold." And just like that, a house worth well over $1 million was sold for $200,000, and it was all mine. I couldn't believe it. People began to make their way to the exit, unimpressed with the way things turned out, considering the news of the alleged embezzlement that had reached their ears shortly before the bidding. Martha's face twisted with anger and disbelief. She lashed out, desperate to regain control over the situation. You think you've won, Linda? This house means nothing. You'll never be able to afford its upkeep and taxes. You'll regret this. Oh, Martha, don't worry about me. I have plans in place, and this house will be a stepping stone to a better future. As for regrets, well, they belong to those who've lost everything, just like you. With those final words, I turned my back on Martha, leaving her seething with rage. She was screaming and crying as Ralph tried to console her. But they just looked like a whole mess. The victory was mine, and it tasted sweeter than I could have imagined. As I walked away from the confrontation, a sense of liberation washed over me. I had reclaimed my power, broken free from the chains of manipulation. Ralph tried to approach me, his face filled with remorse and desperation. But I held my ground, refusing to be swayed by his empty promises. It's over, Ralph. I won't be a pawn in this toxic game any longer. We're done. I'll send over the divorce papers once I settle down in my new home. But where will we live? Honestly, you need to be worrying more about that embezzlement accusation than anything else, because at this rate, both of you will be living in jail. Linda, don't do this. Too late. Already did it. Have a nice life, Ralph, and tell your mother that rage is so not her color. At this, Martha shrieked some more. She was completely furious, and I was enjoying every bit of it. She did her best to deal with the embezzlement claims. But at this rate, whether they were true or not didn't matter. Her image had already been dragged through the mud, considering her not-so-savory outburst during the auction. People saw an unhinged and aggressive woman and wanted to steer clear of that as best as possible. With my head held high, I walked away from the crumbling remnants of my past. The confrontation had marked a turning point in my life, a moment of clarity and strength. I knew there would be challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them with newfound resilience. Revenge had brought me to this point, but it was self-empowerment and the pursuit of my happiness that would carry me forward. The aftermath of my revenge left an indelible mark on all our lives. As the highest bidder, I now owned Martha's house, the very same place she had kicked me out of. It was a bittersweet victory, a symbol of my triumph and resilience. I poured my energy into building a new life for myself, one where I was in control of my destiny. I established a small business selling crocheted clothes, pouring my creativity into every stitch. Word spread quickly, and my business began to thrive. The community embraced my creations, and my customer base grew steadily. Supporting my business, your love and encouragement mean the world to me. I would tell my customers, and I meant every word. As my business expanded, I found myself in the market for more properties. The once shabby apartment Martha and Ralph were forced to rent was now a constant reminder of their downfall. No one in the community trusted them, and they had become outcasts. Ralph would still call me from time to time, begging to come over just so that he and Martha could have a hot shower. But I refused. I can't believe how everything fell apart, Linda. I never imagined it would come to this. Those are simply the consequences of your selfish and greedy actions. You should have stood up for me all those years ago. You should have told your mother that what she was doing wasn't right. Their lies had unraveled like a snowball effect, growing in ferocity, intensity, and grandeur. The consequences of their betrayal echoed through every aspect of their lives. They were on the brink of a trial that would further expose their deceit, drawing more notoriety to their name. The weight of their actions bore heavily upon them, leaving them with a lingering sense of emptiness and increased frustration and malice. One day she herself called me. "I have lost everything, Linda. My son doesn't love me anymore. I've lost the community's trust. I'm left with nothing. You have to help me. The consequences of your choices have caught up with you, Martha." But this was never solely about revenge. It was about seeking justice and reclaiming my power. "I hope that you get everything that you deserve, be it good or bad." The community rallied behind me, offering support and admiration for my resilience, which also brought in more customers to my business. Through my success, I found a newfound understanding of my own strength and determination. The sense of closure I had yearned for was finally within my grasp. As I gazed upon the properties I now owned, I realized that revenge had propelled me forward, but it was my perseverance and resilience that brought me true fulfillment. The past had shaped me, but it would no longer define me. With each passing day, I embraced the beauty of my journey, leaving the shadows of betrayal behind.